7:31. Brian May has joined us, as you can probably hear.
We're going to talk about something else, but he just mentioned, we were just talking about Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie, has taken over $1 billion. I mean, it's by far the most successful biopic, rock pick, whatever you want to call it, of all time. I mean, absolutely extraordinary numbers.
But it's not just music, of course, that he focuses on, because he's one of those campaigners calling for the end to the controversial badger culling programme. Now, culling badgers is designed to stop the spread of tuberculosis to cattle. And the cull means this year we could see up to 63,000 badgers slaughtered.
Well, the move has sparked anger with campaigners like Brian, who claim that culling is not only inhumane but also ineffective.
So we are joined by Brian May, but also live in Herefordshire is a farmer who just wants to be known by the name Martin. So, very good morning to you both. Martin, you back something which Brian is absolutely dead set against. He says it's not going to work, it's not going to have the intended effects. Give us the reasons why you back such a massive cull of animals that, you know, frankly, lots of people quite like.
Well, good morning to you all. The reason I backed it is because I feel it would be nice that to have a population of badgers that are healthy. I don't disagree with a badger population at all. I think they're the most beautiful animals in the world. However, a sickly population isn't helping anyone, in particular dairy and cattle farmers. I was a cattle farmer. I'm not anymore due to TB. In 2009, we had quite a large breakdown and unfortunately lost a lot of animals. And it subsequently meant that it was untenable for me to be a cattle farmer anymore.
And do you blame the badgers?
Apart from the emotional stress.
Do you blame the badgers?
I do, yeah, I do. Yes, I do, unfortunately. I know Brian probably has a different opinion on that.
Do you have any proof?
But I do think it was badgers that were involved in that.
What Brian's saying there is, do you actually have any proof that it was the badgers that caused your issue?
Well, through removal of badgers, the incidence was reduced and the badgers were a major part of our TB breakdown, without doubt.
Okay.
All right, Brian, your response.
Well, I would say there's no proof whatsoever. We've had a badger cull now for 6 years, and the incidence of TB in some of the original pilot zones is actually increased. There's 130% in Gloucestershire. I mean, do you really think that the badger cull is working when you see those kind of figures? I have 3 points to make, really.
That's right, but the Gloucestershire figure, I think, is a bit skewed.
You know what? It's all skewed. And the outgoing chief scientific advisors of the government said just the other day that actually you can't believe any of this. There is no proof that the badger cull is working. All these ups and downs are very insignificant because you don't know what the other factors are influencing them. My point is, I agree with you. I agree with... I'm sorry? I agree with you that...
If you look at Ireland and Australia and New Zealand, they've attained TB-free status through culling.
No,
and unfortunately,
this is one of the myths.
Best method possible at the moment.
No, you know, this would all be... You know, this is all about beliefs. And it's not so long since farmers like, you know, British farmers would have believed that witches were responsible for you know, the failure of their crops or whatever. And so if you believe that, of course you would be burning... Of course you... I'm sorry?
Good point.
So we don't need witches. I think Martin's being very firm on the anti-witch.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not long since that was a belief.
Yeah,
the belief now that there has a belief...
Yeah. But if Martin as a farmer, who faces this potential devastation to his herd, if there is a cull and the incidence of TB in the wake of that dramatically falls, is he not entitled to think there is a connection between culling of the badgers and the reduction of TB?
I don't believe it is. And when I came into this, it was a bit of instinct. You know, I thought, you know, how can this be true? I'm now sitting here with the proof that it doesn't work. And I'm sitting here also with the proof that we have a system which works without killing any wildlife whatsoever. I mean, I agree that something needs to be done.
I'll take you up on that, Brian.
But why would you keep on doing the same thing and expecting a different result? This is not working. We have plenty of proof, and we have proof of why. It's because the current strategy is test the cows with a skin test, which is incredibly unreliable, remove them, and then you expect to clean up the herd. What's happened is that test hasn't done its job because it's incredibly unreliable.
Martin, let me ask you, why don't we know this? I mean, both of you are taking positions that you're both right. You can't both be right. Or perhaps it's such a murky method of testing, a method of scientifically examining this, that we don't really know the answer. I mean, you can't both be correct here.
I agree with Brian in that the testing method is flawed. I don't think it's... I wouldn't say it's not fit for purpose, but I would say it needs considerable input from government or a body to increase the precision of that test.
You know, in the circles...
test on farm is quite frustrating. As a farmer, when you're waiting for a test result, it is very frustrating when you know full well that a portion of the animals that are deemed to be reactive come back with clean results.
You're both shared, it seems to me, you both love badgers, right? I don't know anyone who hates badgers, right? So let's start from a position that badgers are beautiful animals and that a very large number are currently being wiped out through this culling year after year after year. I'm not convinced, Martin, I'm not an expert in this, but I'm not convinced that you're certain that the culling of the badgers is actually working. Can
I put this to you? Can I put this to you, Martin? Can I just say this as a possibility? You think it's the badgers that brought the infection to your herd. I put it to you that the skin test is so inaccurate that what you're doing is taking out many healthy animals from your herd. What's worse is you're leaving the infected animal in the herd, which will then spread the disease, and then you get your next breakdown.
Let Martin respond to that.
We have proof of this. We have proof because we have found TB in
Right, let him respond, because there's a delay.
Through the testing, the testing becomes more regular, as you're aware, once a reactor has been found in a herd. And through that testing, it's quite rigorous, as is the scale of the testing. The prescription for reaction becomes tighter once a herd has failed. So,
you're talking about serial failures of a herd.
The current... indeed. And in certain areas of the country, poor farmers have gone through it year on year on year.
And can I say one more thing?
Failure of a herd.
But Martin, sorry, can I just... Earlier in the interview, you mentioned 3 countries which are now TB-free when it comes to herds, right?
That's right.
Now, and what do you put that down to?
That's right.
The cull.
Yeah,
in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland since 2008, it's on a website, TB Free England, if you'd like to look it up. They had 30,000 reactive cattle in 2008, and by 2015 that had reduced by 50% through a culling programme. Now that, to me, is fairly conclusive that a culling programme will work, as it did in Australia with the indigenous animals that were creating the problem over there.
OK.
So it's difficult to say that it doesn't work.
I don't believe your data there is accurate. I don't want to go into it. I'm going to say one thing. Gatcombe. We work with a farmer in the West Country, Robert Reed, who runs the Gatcombe farm. He was a serially compromised farm. He was unable to trade. He was a constantly broken down farm because he suffered
so much TB.
Year after year he suffered from TB and wasn't able to trade. Within 3 years, with the scheme that we put together with Dick Sibley, he is now TB free. We didn't kill a single badger. We know the badgers are infected, of course they are, because they're eating bits of slurry that's being pumped out of the slurry pit.
You just don't believe they're infecting the cows.
But we were able to clear up the cows without even touching.
It seems to me the one thing you both agreed about, apart from a love of badgers and beautiful creatures, is the testing that's going on simply isn't good enough. And it would seem to me the one point of consensus you could both probably reach is we need better testing. It shouldn't be that this can be such an arguable point after 6 years of culling as to whether it's even being genuinely effective, right?
Surely, if there was any doubt whatsoever that the badger cull was working, surely you wouldn't be licensing more killing. You would be looking at alternative methods. We have the alternative methods now. I'm not making this up. This is the truth. We have a method, the Gatcombe protocol, which works. It can save British farming.
Well, the alternative methods, Brian, are very limited.
They're not limited. They can be applied to any farm, and I would challenge it. I wish you had cows and we could visit you. You don't have cows anymore. But if you had cows, I would say we will come down there and we will clean up your farm without killing a single badger.
OK, chaps, we've got to leave it there. It's a fascinating debate, but a lot of farming people watching this who will have, I'm sure, views on both sides. Brian, great to see your passion for this. You know, nobody wants to kill beautiful animals like badgers unnecessarily. It seems to me the testing at the moment is deeply flawed, and as a result, decisions are being taken which may or may not be correct, and that has got to change. Martin, thank you very much. Brian, thank you very much indeed. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Still to come, football legend Michael Owen and England.